Welcome to Talking Missions. My name is Brad Murray, and we are still here. I keep saying still, because maybe this is the first one you've seen. Well, we are here, and we're having an opportunity to visit some wonderful people. And I want to introduce to you a friend of mine, Paevans. He actually had a little bit to do with Talking Missions. There was about a year ago, we got chatting here at Missions Fest 2018. And we were talking, and
Sunday afternoon,
yeah, because it was getting down to the wire.
It was getting down.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the story real quick. So this is my chance to tell something here. So my wife and I and the kids, I just had to come here. We were slammed that whole weekend. We had a lot of church things we had to do, and they weren't like things you could just push aside. They were really important things. But I was impressed. I really wanted to get to here. And because missions is on my heart, obviously, as you can tell. So anyways, I came here. It was later Sunday. Things were going to be closing pretty soon.
Yeah.
I knew that. And my wife is taking care of the kids.
She was a trooper.
She was putting up with me. I was visiting with some different people and just chatting. I needed the environment. I just needed that.
Okay.
And anyways, Paul and I really connected. We just got talking, and he was just telling me how he just felt impressed by the Holy Spirit, just to encourage me. And I could feel that. I felt encouragement. We felt a connection. He came over to our home for dinner when they were back in Edmonton. And it's been a blessing. And we've been talking over and over again about relationship. And, in missions, I'm just amazed at the relationships I've built and the people I've connected with. I got friends, long-term friends that I've interviewed, and people have an opportunity to see some of these people. Yeah. There is that opportunity, and there is that love and that respect. It just seems to be how does the Army, like friends at arms and stuff like that,
Totally.
Comrades at arms and stuff like that, right?
With the Lord in the midst of it.
Yeah.
To the work of His Spirit.
It really
is.
It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And I think that's part of, that's last year on the Sunday afternoon, late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You're one of the last persons that we spoke to at the booth. Yeah. And I was just like, hey, this is my brother in Christ. And I knew I could just tell that you were really searching and looking to the Lord about, Lord, what is it? Yeah. Because you sensed that He had something for you. Yeah. And I was relating to you just before we started the interview that it was like for myself back in 2006 when I felt strongly impressed to come to Edmonton Missions Fest. Right. That I was in between jobs. Okay. And I just felt impressed in my spirit. Mm-hmm. The Lord saying, go to Missions Fest Edmonton. I had a sense He's going to show me something there. Right. But when you're in the midst of not totally knowing. Is that God? Is that not God? Yeah. Correct. Exactly. And I was in between in between work jobs, and at that time my kids were at home. Mm-hmm. They're married and away now, but at that time they weren't. That goes back to 2006. So, but just pressing into that and coming, and the Lord did show me. Yeah. It was a very important part of us eventually beginning mobilization work with AIM. So when you came to our booth last year this time, I was like, this is one of my brothers. You're right. And he is right where I was. Yeah. Whatever that was, 12, 13 years earlier. So, but it is that bond in the Spirit of Christ. There is. And the Holy Spirit at work. Yeah. And then He just helps us in that. He does. And then just the further conversations we had, both texting, emailing, us coming for supper that evening. Yeah, no, that's been awesome. Met your wife and your kids. Yeah. And I said to you earlier, you have a beautiful family. Yeah, praise God. The Lord has blessed you. Yeah, He really has. And really felt so, again, just at home at your place like that. Yeah. When we just getting to know each other. Yeah. But that is, it's an amazing thing. We just invite people over. Yeah. It's amazing how many people say yes when you invite them over. Oh, yeah. Sometimes we come over tomorrow night, well, busy tomorrow night. And then, they turn me down. No, say like this. Yeah. Well, when works for you? Well, maybe day after tomorrow. That's right. But it is amazing because we had to wait a little while, and we did it. We made it all work, and truly a blessing. But it's funny because it's not like I was kind of like there's something, and it's not like I was first time in missions. I had spent a lot of years working in missions before. But we can have these times and seasons. And I was actually part of a church plant. I'm one of the pastors in a church plant. But we went into that church plant
they knowing that we're going to return to missions. And so, but at the same time, we're just, okay, what is it? Is it Costa Rica? What's going on?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can have that. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with, in fact, I think it's honest. You know, we got to be honest with ourselves. I'm at a point of flux. I'm confused. I don't know what. You know, I don't have it all together. I'm trying to figure this one out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think just be honest with ourselves. Okay, step back for a second.
Yeah.
All right, this is where I'm at. Let's research. Let's talk to people. Let's look on YouTube, for that matter. Let's you know, you can be listening to Paul. Paul. Sorry. Yeah, to Paul. Yeah, because I had another Paul. I'm thinking, I just called you Paul after somebody else. But you know, no, it's to Paul. It's to other people.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what we get.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah, and I think the Lord can use those times where in some ways we wouldn't choose that, because it is kind of a confusing, somewhat frustrating time.
Right.
When we're really searching something out, a sense of God has something, but what is it?
Yeah.
And this has been part of my own experience, myself and Angie.
Yeah.
Our experience, but also we were just chatting with a young couple just an hour ago.
Okay.
And just we're there right now in life. Just the Lord uses it, I really believe, to kind of press us into Him.
Yeah.
Lean into Him.
Yeah.
And say, Lord, what is it you're saying?
Yeah.
You know, being in the Word more intentionally.
Yeah.
Carving out some quiet time.
Yeah.
Away from all the things that distract us in our lives. And we're all prone and susceptible to that.
Yeah, right.
Because life is coming at us. And there's even things that attract us.
Yeah.
That our culture throws at us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's pretty enticing.
Yeah.
Different things.
Yeah.
So, but I think the Lord somehow uses it to really cause us to really search it, like push into Him. And really search it out.
Yeah.
And in that, God shows up.
He does.
So it's not even a mysterious thing.
No.
It's, and the Lord will also in that bring people to us right at that right moment.
Yeah.
Right time to encourage us, maybe give us a word to help us along. And we have, I mean, myself and Angie have experienced that over the years, and we still do.
Yeah.
Just like you've experienced that in different ways.
Exactly.
Just at that right moment, the Lord shows up.
Yeah.
Or it could even be like reading some scripture on a particular morning.
Right, that's true.
Or reading a devotional.
Yeah.
That is like, oh my.
Mm-hmm.
The truth really just hits us.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I can. And we just thank the Lord for that.
You can have an eureka moment.
Totally.
You know, and it's true. And like, I wouldn't, like you probably, though I have every confidence you're a man who hears the voice of the Lord and you seek the voice of the Lord, but you probably wouldn't have heard my phone number and my name to call me if I hadn't come to Missions Fest to visit, right?
Absolutely.
So our friends, is like, it's not like, you know, sometimes we're expecting somehow some kind of amazing supernatural things to happen, right?
Yeah.
But by stepping forward here, just that moving in the Spirit.
Yeah.
And I just stepped into that one step of faith.
Yeah.
And then we had an awesome... So it's like, I haven't joined African Inland Missions. Of course, you're probably still going to keep working on me, but the truth of the matter...
As the Lord leads.
As the Lord leads. But, you know, but the thing is, you know, we work together, and that's what we're doing.
Totally.
So, all right, now...
If I could say as well...
Sure, please do.
That, and you just kind of hit up on it, to me, and we'll use you as an example again.
Sure, okay.
Last year this time, Missions Fest.
All right.
To me, when the Lord was prompting you, and you took a step towards something, like that is an act of obedience.
Right.
That then allows the Lord to work.
Right.
We take a step.
That's right.
Because some of the people that we connect with in mobilization is that, and this is our human nature, especially again in our culture.
Yeah.
That we want the path.
Yeah.
We want to know what's way out, right out there.
Yeah.
We want to see that clear, and then, now I'm good to go.
Right.
And the Lord, I believe, very seldom works like that.
Yeah.
He'll say, take a step.
Yeah.
You took a step.
Yeah.
And then God shows up.
Yeah.
And gives you more clarity.
Yeah.
And myself and Angie experienced that. Going back to February 06.
Yeah.
Missions Fest, Edmonton. That's a step of obedience,
Yeah.
and God showed up in amazing ways.
Yeah.
If I hadn't taken that step, and He was impressing that upon me.
Right.
So what I guess my word is for our friends who are watching.
Yeah.
And if they're wrestling with what does God have and what does that look like for me,
Yeah.
I have a sense of something.
Right.
Well, and I say this to our young people that we're tracking with.
Yeah.
is they discern. I tell them, and sometimes they're a little bit older. They're not just young adults.
Yeah, well,
they're midlife and they're a bit older. And
look at me.
I say, exactly.
Yeah.
And even for me now,
yeah.
I say, take a step toward it, and then we trust the Lord to work.
Right. Yeah.
It's like us being here representing African Mission at Missions Fest, Alberta, here in Edmonton. We're all in. We love our work.
Yeah.
We love connecting with people.
Right.
We love building relationships. But and we're at the booth.
Yeah.
If the Lord, and I said this to you earlier before we started, if the Lord doesn't kind of bring people and have them prepared to come and actually want to have a conversation, well, I have no power in myself to do that.
No.
And I wouldn't want that.
No.
So it's not a pressure thing, but the Lord has to bring, to prompt people, bring them, and we've had those conversations this weekend. Yeah. And we just thank the Lord for that. Yeah. That's not us. Yeah. But yet we love to do the follow-up and to connect and help people discern what it is.
Well, you don't know.
It's like you last year.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about serving, in this case with African Land Mission.
Right.
And other times it's not that. It's just to help. You can help me, I can help you, or the next person move toward what God is saying and how He's leading. So that's a step of obedience. Yeah. And let the Lord then.
So, getting back to you.
Yeah.
You were saying, like, before your introduction to Land Mission, you were actually willing to put a job offer on the table just to come to come to Mission Fest.
Yeah.
So the Lord must have been working your heart.
He was. I used to serve with the RCMP.
Okay.
From 1982 until 2002.
Okay.
And in the late 90s and into around year 2000, myself and my wife, Angie, were both feeling kind of a stirring, some restlessness with what I was doing, what she was doing. This is when we lived back in Newfoundland, where I was posted and where we grew up. That we just had a sense of change is coming.
Right.
And a sense of He has more for us.
Right.
Well, what is that?
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of work through that.
Right.
Trusting the Lord in it. And again, He kind of led us to. I finished up in 2002. We moved out to Garenport to Briarcrest College, and both did some classes there.
Okay.
Angie worked at the school for a number of years, and it was there that, again, we were introduced. Our world really opened up. My desire was for some form of ministry, but I didn't know what. I saw either like a parachurch organization or missions.
Yep.
But what that all looked like, no idea.
Right.
And so it was still over a period of pretty much 4 years that it took. And so even in that, there's the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of being excited and oh my goodness, what just trying to find your way.
Yeah.
But in it all, I felt like this thing of really pressing into the Lord, having His peace, knowing that He led us there. But then, okay, what next, Lord? So even that was a process.
Right.
And we can just testify to the Lord's faithfulness.
Right.
And Him showing up and just, almost like in His perfect timing.
Right.
Kind of like divine appointments.
Yep.
And just really saying, sometimes just saying, yes, Lord, we do trust You.
Amen.
Even when there's uncertainty and what does the future look like. But
so what are you doing with Inland Missions right now?
We are our main roles is mobilization, recruitment, primarily across the prairies. We're based out of Winnipeg. Primarily mobilize Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. Okay. Of course, we have a connection with the Atlantic region. We grew up in Newfoundland. Okay. And so we still go down there.
Do you speak Newfoundlandese?
Oh, yes. Yes, bye. Yeah.
For those who are not Canadian...
I can kick that in...
for those who are not Canadian, maybe you don't know Newfoundlandese, who are wonderful. Newfoundlandese tell the best Newfie jokes. That's the abbreviation for a Newfoundlander. And trust me, it's a wonderful community. And every Newfie I've ever met, I've loved. And they have awesome accents and awesome jokes and awesome families. It's a great experience.
For
so
sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we do get down to the Atlantic region once or twice a year.
Okay.
And
that's right. When I texted you one time, you were there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we were down there, and we'll be heading down there for Jesus to the Nations Missions Conference later in March in Halifax, and we'll take on a trip to Newfoundland to do some further recruitment, follow-up, connecting with people, and have a visit with our family as well. So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we're now into, I think it's our 12th, 13th year of mobilization, and it's that thing where the Lord will just place us right into an area where we can just use our giftings and our skill set, where there are people doing certain work with AIM that, or even the work you're doing, that wouldn't be a fit for me. I feel like mobilization, and the way AIM has kind of freed us up to do our work is that I actually get to be me. And myself and Angie love the one-on-one follow-up, engaging, build relationships, pray for people, and help them discern what it is God is saying. Wow. Whether that's to come and serve with AIM, well, of course, praise the Lord. We're excited about that. But if he has something else better than that, then we say, and we can be a part of it.
You can be a part of that.
Kind of like us connecting last year.
Right.
And I see, actually, that's our greater role.
Right. Yeah.
In this whole of what God is doing. Right. His building his kingdom.
I agree.
That the Lord has an amazing way just to fit us in.
Yeah.
So we do thank the Lord for that. Cool. And it's very life-giving to us, and we're working, we're traveling a lot, and for sure there's times weariness sets in. Yeah. But yet it's even that is good. Weariness is not just grinding and being on like a treadmill. Yeah. That the work is it gives energy back to us.
There's so many aspects of missions that a person can be involved in, locally and abroad. And, you're showing it yourself, right? You're doing something different. When you think of people working in missions, you don't think of somebody actually recruiting and supporting the missionary part, right, of it. And, those opportunities are there. Yeah. So let's talk about, you've over those years, you've seen people come and join and start to work, and you've seen stories, you've seen hard times, and you've seen good times. Share a story with us. Share something.
For sure. Yeah, we've tracked with a lot of people over the years, helping them, move toward their assignment. Right. And then going, serving, some committing for the long term, going full term, some going out more short term, sometimes on a summer team. Right. And then actually finishing that, and then eventually coming back and going out and serving full term. Right. Yeah, just the Lord's faithfulness in that. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of our friends who serve up, Jordan and Andrea. They serve up in Tori, South Sudan. In South Sudan? They're part of a team up there. And with their heart is to church plant based out of Tori, about all the different people's groups in that region. Right. Okay. Southern part of South Sudan. Okay. So just seeing them really persevere to build their team up over the years. Yeah. Times of where it's become very insecure there. Yeah. Not full on civil war, but kind of moving toward that. Yeah. Where evacuations are happening. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the uncertainty. And then there's the uncertainty of, well, what does this mean? Yeah. Will we actually be able to return? Yeah. And it's one thing for us to be back here in Canada, or just whether it's watching the news or just hearing a report, but you think about it, and there's gunshots being fired in the community. Yeah. And how that must feel, and the question marks especially for Jordan as, husband, father of his kids, but also responsibility for other people working in the area under his leadership. That's heavy. It is. And it's hard. Yeah. And boy, you got to be so, I think, spiritually in tune, but also just wisdom and well connected to your community. Yeah. Both with the local pastor and just community people. Right. To kind of make that judgment call of, well, that's just regular tension. Yeah. To like, no, now it's time to go. And going out either to Kampala or Nairobi, and just being there in this uncertain time of it could be weeks or months, just waiting Yeah. And then for them, they went through that period. I think it was a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And now they're back. And also then to see actually their team growing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a young lady from southern Manitoba going out to join the team.
Okay.
This fall.
Yep.
And then another gal from the Edmonton area.
Right.
Up near Westlock, actually.
Okay.
She's going to be going out to join, not right in Torit, but another team nearby. But it's all kind of part of the same group.
Same responsibility, yeah.
So that's been really exciting. And even with the two young ladies that are going out now, I've tracked with them. Myself and Angie have tracked with them for, with Christy, it's been probably 4 to 5 years that we first was February 2014 right here that we first met her. And for Melissa, it's been at least 3 years.
Right.
And that has been, it hasn't been like this straight path. That we love the straight path.
Yeah,
and it has not been a straight path.
Yeah.
But to see the Lord, them really trusting.
Yeah.
And us being able to encourage them and pray with them.
Yeah.
And saying sometimes take a step.
Yeah.
And let's see what the Lord says.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't know. We're just like, take a step. Let's see. And so now to see all the uncertainty that was in Torit and that area of South Sudan, much like all of South Sudan.
Right.
But then to see and the stress and the pressure that came with that evacuation, and now to see it a couple of years later, to see these amazing things happening. And even in that, it's still this continual tension of moving forward.
Yeah.
But then there's a roadblock.
You're right.
And then what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Right? So I think that would be one example, a bit of a drawn out story there, but just
that's fine.
Just this walk with the Lord, and especially in cross-cultural missions, when things are typically very safe and secure within our Canadian culture or in the Western world, generally speaking. Yeah. But in many of the areas of the world where church planting organizations like AIM, whether it's Africa, Asia, other areas where church planting is happening, those are areas of a lot of insecurity.
Yeah, that's the big thing is most nations, it's amazing how, basically secure or safe we are in our Western culture. It's maybe not even like it used to be, but it's still, we get used to a certain aspect. When we start looking at other countries, all of a sudden things change. And, the danger factor goes up. We talked before, though, it's like, maybe that's part of the adventure. I don't like using the word adventure. I like to find, it's about writing our story. Yeah. It's about living with a life of meaning and a life of purpose. And every time we do that, we take risk.
For sure.
And I think it's calculated risk. I'm not saying for people to do foolish acts. Yeah. And I've talked to different people, they've fled areas and what have you because things are happening. Yeah. But it's, we take risks. Yeah. But it's trusting risk. We're trusting in the Lord. Yeah. And
I think, too, further to that, the adventure component, that the Lord, it's almost like you need an adventurous spirit to even consider it. Right. So adventurous spirit, to me, that's good. I mean, we just can't be going for the adventure.
Right. Exactly.
Right? But you will have adventure.
Yeah.
And, there will be risk.
Yeah.
It's calculated, as you said. Yeah. And we need to trust the Lord in it.
That's right.
Whether it's safety, safety, security, health, and even relationships, like, I'm going to go, an ability to learn a language. Yeah. And to find your way in a totally different culture. Like, that does take some sense of adventure.
That does.
So I think the Lord can wire certain people that way. Yeah. To actually step into it. Yeah. And I'm going to go for it. Right. But the Lord is in it.
That's right.
So
African Inland Mission. Yeah. It was started, last year? That was a joke.
A little longer than that.
A little longer ago.
Yeah, it was established in 1895.
1895.
Peter Cameron Scott was our founder.
Okay.
The Lord gave him a vision for a line of mission stations, all the way from coastal Kenya, all the way inland, right up to Lake Chad. So right into the heart of Africa.
Okay.
And so over many, many years, that has happened.
Right.
And of course, from there, it's spread out to now 20 plus countries throughout a large part of Africa.
So you're an organization with a serious history. Yeah. You know, you've had good founders, and there's a proof. There's something there. There's stability. Yeah. There's nothing wimpy or wishy-washy about it in any shape, way, or form. Yeah. You have people who are supporting. You have people who are supportive, right?
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
For
sure.
Now, is it an organization where you do your own fundraising?
Yes, we are a faith-based mission. Yeah. So, yeah, our workers who are going out with us, whether they're short-term. Yeah. For us, short-term is anything from, could be a month to 12 months. Mm-hmm. That'd be, for us, considered short-term. Yeah. And then full-term would be anything more than a year. Okay. And typically that's at least 2 years. Right. Our church planting teams, we call them training and ministry outreach teams. Okay. So those are 2 to 3 year teams. Right. So any of our workers going out, they're trusting the Lord to bring their prayer partners in and their financial support. Right. And we see the Lord, it's almost like every time it blows us away, especially for our full-term people where their numbers are pretty big. Yeah. For their one-time support they need, for their flights and their setup costs. Yeah. And then also their monthly support. Right. The numbers are big, but we are blown away time after time how the Lord just moves in people's hearts to give and to pray. Yeah. And then there's the partnership with the churches that is developed in that to see. And really, to me, we're just left amazed and thanking the Lord. Yeah. There's so much prayer goes into that, whether it's our head office staff, us as mobilizers, and our people having that network of people that just catch that vision. Yeah. Because there's always that thing of, you served, I believe it was in South America.
Central America. Yeah.
So, the Lord was sending you. Right. But then you needed those people that would pray for you and support you financially back home. Yeah. So we're all, that concept that we're all called to this thing of missions. Yeah. And we all have a part in it. Yes. So we just see the Lord just bringing that supply. Yeah. And sometimes it's that young person, 19 years old, and they're going on a 2-month summer team. Yeah. And their budget is $6,000. Wow. And they're like, wow. Oh, yeah. Okay. We coach them up on kind of how to go about that properly. And we say, the Lord will do it. Yeah. And just see their faith growing, and that thing of humbling ourselves to ask, because in our culture again, we kind of want it. I've got this. Yeah, I am self-provided for. Yeah. I can do this myself. I don't really need to ask. Yeah. Well, no, you do need to ask people to pray for you. Yeah. If you can self-support somewhat, well, that's okay. Yeah. We're not down on that, but we don't want people going out. Yeah. In an independent, minded way. Yeah. Like, I've got this. Yeah. Well, the thing is, when we get more and more people that are involved, they have an invested interest in the person. Totally. It might be financially, it might be prayer, but there's an invested interest. Yeah. I remember you were talking when you were over at our place, and you were talking about somebody. I got the gist of the story. I've kind of forgotten a little bit. Yeah. But they were going through an incredibly hard time, and everybody was praying for them. Yeah. Now, I just forget the exact details of that one. Did that ring a bell? Right. It was somebody... Do you remember what area? Were they on the field at that time? They were on the field at the time. And I can't remember if they were arrested or injured or sick. I can't remember. Okay. Yeah, isn't that great? Here we are. We're doing this thing here, and I did the research, and I can't. Yeah, no, that's okay. But there is. But they were actually. I'll just snapshot the story. But I remember your wife was just saying, because she brought up the story, right? And she was just saying there was all this fear, stress for the families, and the prayer support. Everybody was praying and praying and praying and praying, and the situation worked. Yeah. The truth of it doesn't always work out to the way we want it to, but when you have that though, it brings other people in, and they become invested. And I think
There is. Like, our Western culture really wants to do it ourselves, and that's not helpful. I got to fight it all the time. I know it in myself.
Sure. And we do too. It's just, that's ingrained in us. Yeah. In our, whether it's Canadian culture or Western culture. Yeah. That we figure it out. Yeah. We make our way. Yeah. It's not that, our families love us. But it's just kind of, that's the way we're raised. That's kind of how we do it. Yeah. That's what we do. So there's always that thing of, we like to think of the concept of, friend raising, but also like inviting people in. That's right. To be a part of this with you. Right. Because you will need people. Yeah. Praying, because spiritual warfare will come. That's right. And the difficulties will come. Right. Will there be great days and times of adventure and wow, I can't believe I'm even here, or what just happened? Yeah. Yes, but there'll also be times when discouragement comes. That's right. And something has happened it's hard. Yeah. And to be able to send that communication out, whether it's on WhatsApp or email, please pray. Yeah. That to have is just imperative. I agree. And for our people that are working in creative access areas amongst unreached peoples, with some of those people, we even say we want you to have 200 committed prayer partners. Wow. That when you send the email out, like, they will be praying. Right. And even just praying for you in a general sense, ongoing. Yeah, and that is like, that's networking. Now you're starting to grow and training all on its own. For sure. So you're talking about unreached. Do you have quite a number of unreached people groups that you're trying to touch? Yeah, there's still over 1,000 unreached people's groups in Africa alone. Yeah, that's quite a few. Yeah, so our goal by 2020, now this was a goal set back in 2015. Okay. To reach by 2020, so we're just a year away to reach 20 unreached people's groups, and a whole list of other kind of goals, things we're praying into. Yeah. So we see, headway has been made. Right. It's very time-consuming. Yeah. And like any of the unreached people's groups now, like, you're going into some pretty hard areas, so it just takes a lot of perseverance and time even to strategize and identify those people group, because we want to, in a sense, be invited in. Right. We just don't show up randomly. Right. So we have our church planning leaders who are they're continually doing that. Right. And trusting the Lord to open the doors to allow our teams to go. And many of our church planning teams are actually comprised of people who it could be a medical background. They could be teachers. They could even be builders. Right. They could be trained in theology as well. Right. Yep. So we really want to, or ESL and other. We have people who are trained in agriculture and some veterinary or animal husbandry work. Okay. So we just have people bring a whole different list of different skills, so they can actually sincerely and really contribute to the local community and love people unconditionally and to help. Right. And then in that, of course, trust the Lord. Right. And really actually learn language. Yeah. Learn culture in that first year, like be big time intentional about building relationships. Right. And learning the heart language of that people's group. Yeah. And then strategizing in the second year more about how do we, as a team, and praying into it, how do we bring the gospel to this people's group, through their cultural lens, and not so much the way we see life and understand it in our Western mindset, but more through, in this case, an African certain people's group mindset. Yeah, so. It is a lot of times shedding our own culture. And you really got to, sometimes we can bring good things in, but sometimes we really got to walk. For sure. That's actually, the church has been hit a lot with that and accusations, sometimes unfairly. Like, I know when I was in Guatemala, and I was talking to an indigenous man who became a friend of mine, and we were talking about in Guatemala, you got a lot of the people living in villages on mountains and stuff like this, and in different areas, and not really isolated, but a little bit isolated, right? Or just say, a community that's far away, so not really isolated, but it's not not easy. Yeah. And we were talking, and I said, do you feel like sometimes that people are, the Christians have come in and brought in oppression, and, you have to do this, that, and the other thing? Do you feel that? And he goes, no, he says, alcoholism is insanely a problem.
and it's the Christians that come in with an answer.
Yeah.
You know, and often Christians are. And I was reading when I was trying to research Guatemala before I went, I was reading a book by a person who was not a believer at all.
Yeah.
And he was actually defending the missionaries. He says they're the ones that are protecting the languages. He says it's not the other guys. They're the ones that are actually out there trying to improve the people's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he says they're not trying to take away, they're trying to act. And I really believe, I want to kind of address that it's often an accusation. I'm not saying it's never happened, because people have done mistakes, and not everything about a culture is necessarily a positive thing either. You know, there's, you know, we've read history about some pretty negative things in culture,
for sure,
where Christianity has come and brought healing and redemption and a blessing to that culture now.
Yeah.
And so, but it brings life. And
absolutely,
you know, there's been times I've heard all kinds of amazing stories.
And in those cases, there are many people living in those geographical locations that certain things are just not available to them.
Right.
And they have people coming from the outside with a sincere love, or with a sincere desire to love and help them.
Right.
Right? Of course, yes, over time to share Christ and the hope that He brings. Yeah. Right? But it's out of a motivation of love. And it's not manipulation or anything like that, but just to help and to watch the Lord work in and through them.
So how can somebody be involved? You're talking about short-term missions. What's the different opportunities people can...
Sure. Yeah. So within short-term, any of our short-term work opportunities, it's all really designed to ultimately help the ongoing full-time
Right. Okay.
work,
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we don't, when people come and inquire, whether it's here at Missions Fest or they inquire over our website, it's not so much us trying to put something together for them.
Right.
It's more like, okay, here's our opportunities and needs. Yeah. And would you think and pray about that? Right. So it's really across the board. We're an organization of about 700 full-time workers on the field. Okay. So, you know, really it takes kind of a lot of infrastructure. Right. To kind of... Because right at the pinnacle, we're a church planting organization. We talk about Christ-centered churches amongst all African peoples with emphasis on unreached peoples. So that's really right at the cusp. Yeah. That's what we're about. Yeah. And then there's all the trickle down of, well, how do we make that happen? A good example of a short-term opportunity that's very practical and a high need for is we have our young families out serving in sometimes fairly remote areas. Yeah. And the parents need short-termers to come for 9 months to a year to help homeschool their younger children. Right. It's a very practical thing. Yeah. And so typically the way it unfolds is that the parents have all the curriculum. Yeah. And quite often it's mom who's doing the homeschooling. Right. So sometimes they want someone to come and either help mom with that. Right. And sometimes maybe to take even more of a role of actively teaching, but usually it's helping. Yeah. And typically that'll look like in the morning, that's when they'll do that. Yeah. The beautiful thing is in the afternoon and the evenings, well, they're free to go and kind of be doing life in the community. Yeah. We want our young people or our short-termers, even if we're going for just a number of months, like to have that willingness to learn language. Not that they won't master it by any means, but just that, I want to learn some of the local language. Right. So come in with a learning attitude, a teachable spirit. Right. So that's one very practical way that, and it's one of our more, I would say, urgent needs. We do teams. They're designed really for college and university age students. Okay. 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. Maybe they're looking for a good missions cross-cultural experience, but they can give a month or two in the summer. Yeah. So we've designed two teams. One is called Go Team. The other is called Fuel. Okay. And they're designed they're like 2-month teams, typically mid-June to mid-August, approximately. Yeah. And the first 2 weeks is more of the component of the team coming together and doing like orientation together and learning more about cross-cultural missions. Why is that still applicable? Why do we still do that? All these many, many years later after we've been doing it for 100+ years. So learning about that and praying together, building team concept. And then kind of 2 by 2, they go out then the next 5 weeks and serve amongst unreached peoples with our full-termers who are already there.
Right.
And so to go and just learn and do life there for the 5 weeks.
You know, that's a real transformational opportunity. You have an opportunity to learn about a culture. You know, there's people who want to go on holidays, and there's people who want to go have an experience.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I hear people talking about, you know, their beach time and things like that. And not that that's a bad thing. Yeah. I'm not going to try to diss it or anything. No. I'm not going to that. But, you know, and it's like, it's funny when I hear people coming back from some sort of a short term. They've got stories. I've heard guys, not that long ago, I heard a guy telling a story. He had, I don't know, it was like years and years and years ago. Oh, I remember. And he was just telling a story. Yeah. And because you come out of this with stories. You come out of this with life experience. Yeah, for sure. And how can it not be transformational? Yeah. You know,
and I would say, too, like relationships built.
That's true.
And friendships made.
Right.
Because in this, our short-termers are going out, even whether it's 2 months or going for up to a year.
Right.
I mean, well, they do life with the families and get to know our people on the field. Yeah. But, I mean, the relationships they build with the local people. Yeah. And doing life with them, it does transform them.
Yeah, you make lifelong friends, and you might be really surprised what's going to happen there, right? Yeah. And you know, I don't know how many interviews I've done. So just a warning to you, I don't know how many interviews I've done, how many friends I've had. Said, yeah, I came for 2 weeks and I forgot to leave. Yeah. You know, I'm going to be doing an interview over here in a little while with a guy. Same story, you know. I came here for a short term and I just forgot to leave.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other part, too, is just there's been, you know, this conversation about the value of short-term missions. Yeah. Is there any value in it? Yeah. Well, I really believe there still is value in it. Yeah. Whether it's, and sometimes you hear kind of some negativity toward, they went to Mexico for 2 weeks, and what's the value in that? And, right. Well, many of our people that come to us as 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, and they're ready for a 2 month or a 6 month or 1 year short term, or even considering full term. Right. That many times as we're getting to know them, and even in the interview, they'll tell us about when they were 16 and they went for 2 weeks to Mexico and helped build a house. Yeah. Or whatever it was. And we just see that over and over again. I believe it. We interviewed a couple just 2 evenings ago. Yeah. And that was part of their story. There you go. At least she did. She went and served in short-term capacity. And now the Lord just used that. Yeah. And so we hear that over and over. So I'm just a big believer in the value of short-term.
I'm a believer. Like, you know, we serve a God with, what is it, a cattle on 1,000 hills, I believe? Yeah. You know, we have to trust Him. Yeah. You know, we really do. We got finances tied up in things maybe we don't need to have finances tied up in. Yeah. And if we're going to send like a 16-year-old on a 2-week trip to Mexico or something like that, you know, maybe that's got some value to it. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe something will happen. But, you know, in that group, trust me, something's going to happen.
Yeah, it will.
And so then
sometimes we can see it immediately. Yeah. And sometimes we don't.
It brews away.
And I would say, for us sometimes, and being even at a missions fest, sometimes we can see outcomes like almost immediately. Yeah. It's like, well, here it is. Yeah. And other times, we don't see it immediately.
You see it a year later when you're being interviewed by the guy you're encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
or it could be 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's in the Lord's hands.
Yeah. So you have that. You have long-term missions. Yeah. You know, of course, people who are really, there's something tugging at their heart for something like that. Yeah. And so they can be contacting you. They can investigate and really get a feel for it. Yeah. And as you can tell, guys, he's an easy guy to talk to, and he's not going to pressure you. But he definitely is encouraged, and so he'll help you work through those. They're not easy things to work through, but work through them anyways. Because it's not easy doesn't mean you don't do it. Yeah.
And the thing that I think we highly value, and I would think anyone doing mobilization, they generally have a love for people. Yeah. And really our desire is just to see people stepping into obedience, right, and then trusting the Lord with it. Okay. And that's not always an easy path. No, so it's not. Our part is to actually build a relationship with people in a sincere way, right, and let the Lord work in that, because that's his business. And I mean, the last thing we want is someone out serving in Africa with AIM, and that's not what the Lord has. Because it just won't end well.
Right. Yeah.
But we always say to people, if the Lord wants you in Africa serving with AIM, then, of course, we're all for that. But if He has something better than that for you, well, just because we're meeting and visiting, getting to know each other, we see our bigger role as just helping people discern.
That's right.
So
we do.
And in that, there's no pressure in that.
Yeah.
It's like the Lord has got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's part of your story.
Yeah.
It's part of mine and Angie's story.
Right.
And many others.
That's right.
We say the Lord is faithful.
That's right.
And He will lead and direct and show us in ways that we can't even
fathom.
Think of.
Exactly.
We can clearly say the Lord has done it.
Yeah.
But it was always back to where we started.
Yeah.
It was almost like a baby step sometimes.
That's right.
Well, I'll just dip my toe in there and the Lord, this is what happened.
Exactly.
And sometimes, people can connect with us through our website.
Right.
Through the African Inland Mission website. There's an inquiry link. Send the link. There's some really cool stories and videos there.
Cool.
That'll help people just discern if. And many people that come to us, they kind of generally start with, I kind of feel I've always had an interest in Africa.
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe this is part of your experience too, that the Lord somehow gave you a heart for Central America.
Yeah.
And for others it's South America.
Yeah.
For others it's Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Or Europe.
Yeah.
Or right here in Canada.
That's right.
Certain people's groups in Canada.
Yeah.
And others, in our case, they get this heart for Africa.
Yeah.
And so just even that is a way just to filter in a bit closer to what it is. So, so we just the bottom line is we love connecting and following up with people over a coffee or a meal, just like we did with you.
Exactly.
And then let the Lord work in that.
Well, I'm going to testify right now. He's easy to chat with. So if you want to get in touch with Africa Inland Missions, you can either just directly do it. What's the Africa Inland Missions?
It's
AAI?
The web address is ca.aim, int.org, ament.org.
All right. We're going to have that on the YouTube. We'll have it right down below. On the website, we'll also have it. I just thought I'll let them ring it out, and we'll make it available so you find out some more and see what happens. We just want to thank Paul. I'm going to give you the knuckle bump. I'm trying to avoid giving my cold away still. And but we want to thank you for joining us. We just hope it was an encouragement for you. There was something you heard that was exciting for you. So please watch another video, hit like, all those kind of things that Webbers say or YouTubers say. And we just want to thank you again. And so blessings to brothers and sisters out there. God bless, and we'll be talking to you later. Amen. Bye-bye.